Today on Here for the Right Reasons.
Chris Harrison gets a podcast and isn't holding back. He reveals where he stands on what he said, plus why he lost 20 pounds, who reached out to him, and who he thinks should be host. Plus, Tia Booth defends hiring temporary help to care for her newborn son. Plus, meet the ladies competing for Zach's heart on The Bachelor. All that and so much more on today's Here for the Right Reasons. Hey guys, made it to camp here with Us Weekly Deputy Editor Sarah Huron. Welcome to Here for the Right Reasons. Christina's obviously not here today. She is coming off the plane right now from the Golden Globes. Much more exciting than our lives right now.
Much more exciting. The Golden Globes actually were kind of entertaining.
Bad.
Didn't hate it. A Tuesday was a choice.
I guess I preferred actually to a Sunday. I don't know.
You know what? It worked. The week is going, and now we have to talk about all these wonderful things that are happening in Bachelor Nation, because as we always say, they never stop.
They never stop. And thanks to you, you watched or you listened to the first 2 episodes of Chris Harrison's new podcast, The Most Dramatic Podcast Ever. Is that the name of it, right?
That is the name of it.
Yeah.
And while it is certainly not the most dramatic podcast ever, he definitely speaks in a cadence where he's trying to get there. I know we're going to get into what he said, but just overall, he's still very Chris Harrison. It's like voiceovers for 2 hours.
Okay, so let's get into what he said. He detailed what it was like to navigate the backlash of his February 2021 interview that ultimately cost him his gig as the host of The Bachelor and Bachelorette and Bachelor in Paradise. He said, I was heartbroken and I was gutted. I was embarrassed. I was mad at myself. I was disappointed in myself. The last thing in the world I ever wanted to do was be an agent of anything negative, whether it had to do with race or anything. The fact that I was involved in this and that I had a big part in this, I do own that. He added that there were many things out of his control and things definitely spun out of control for a number of reasons. He talked about his controversial interview with Rachel Lindsay and defending Rachel Kirkconnell. He said, I wasn't my normal, eloquent self. I don't express myself like I normally do. I think that part we all agree on, but as far as my standing in the community and the show, it really didn't register on the Richter scale. There was much more egregious things going on in the world and things that had happened. He implied that his bosses didn't really think it was going to amount to much and was told that if he apologized, we would all be able to move forward. He also said, I had someone, a very prominent person, say to me, you know, the mistake you made, Chris, you apologized. And I understand what that person was trying to say, but I said, I disagree with you. My apology was warranted because I did misstep and I made a mistake. Well, I don't know. What do you think? What do you think overall about the fact that he even has a podcast?
I mean, I think it's fine that he has a podcast. It's been 2 years, I think.
Has it? Wow.
Yeah, it'll be 2 years in February, which is crazy. So I don't think Chris Harrison, if he wants to have a podcast, if he wants to have a career, that's on him. If I was him, I'd probably just be enjoying that settlement money and not rehashing all of this over again, because he kind of goes in a lot about the media and how people, picked apart what he said and how he was kind of framed himself as being in, the wrong place at the right time. So he quote unquote owned what he said, but he didn't even get into the details of it. And he never mentioned Rachel Lindsay by name, which I think was interesting. But kind of said, he was a victim of circumstance, meaning like the world was looking for someone to cancel. And maybe there's some truth to that, but I also kind of think that's just a lame narrative. Yeah. And I get it. He kind of goes into like, in the past, you get an apology and you get forgiven. And it's like, okay, but was that necessarily right? I'm not saying it's wrong. Like, I'm not saying we cancel everyone, but like, he just was talking a little matter of factly to me. And it was strange and just kind of blaming the whole thing on like the world and the media and being in the right place at the wrong time or the wrong place at the right time. Yeah. And I think there was more to it than that. I don't think he was just a victim. Like, he still said all this stuff and it was weird and unnecessary and not cool.
No, definitely. I also wonder who he's going to get as a guest. His first podcast was him solo, which, I kind of like that, whatever.
Yeah.
His second guest was his fiance, Lauren Zima. So I was like, okay, who's next though? Like, is he going to get more Bachelor Nation people, or are they going to be scared to do it to be affiliated with him? I don't know.
Right. Like, what is the point of this podcast is such a good question, because the first 2 episodes, I think, did his version of handling the scandal. I honestly, again, don't even think he did like a good job talking about the main issues. He kind of just danced around cancel culture and crisis PR and gave all these like very vague like comments about who he thinks he should teach a class in like crisis management. Like, it's just not like a good look. I don't know. It was weird.
Maybe that is what he should do. Maybe he should be a professor at a college and not do a podcast.
Right. And so like, I just don't know what the point is afterwards. Like, do we just move on? And, which is fine if he wants to have a show about like relationships. I just don't know who wants to listen to that, because I don't.
Yeah, I agree. I was also wondering, like, is he going to be recapping the season? Is he going to not watch the season? I don't know. We'll see, I guess, if we keep listening. Let us know.
Yeah, I mean, I'm curious to find out. He's also apparently launching like a podcast network with iHeart, like all about relationships. So they're like putting a lot into this. It's like Chris Harrison is this relationship guru where in actuality, he really was just a host. He was a great host. He was. You can't deny he was, had the job for a long time. And he also like named names about like who reached out to him. And after saying he wasn't going to name names, but then he did name names. So it was interesting to see who was left out of those names. For me, like Caitlin Bristow was a big one that he didn't bring up. He didn't bring up Tayshia. And he threw some shade at Nick Viall for like trying to get his job. He said Wells should have gotten the job. He never mentioned Jesse Palmer, which I thought was interesting.
I would love to hear his take on Jesse Palmer because in many ways, Jesse Palmer is Chris Harrison 2.0 to me.
Correct.
And I would have preferred someone like Wells who has maybe a little bit more personality. Not that Jesse Palmer doesn't have personality, and I think he's a very good host.
Yeah.
But I would have loved someone who's a little closer to Bachelor Nation, like a Wells or maybe even a Nick. But
I like Nick. Nick's a controversial character, but he maybe would have been a little too like in. Like the host needs to take a step back. Wells does a great job in Paradise, giving advice, but also being like, this is the show. And I think he has a good border of like caring about the people, but also knowing he's making a show. Yeah. And I think Nick maybe would have been like stirring the pot and maybe driving the story and getting too invested and like putting himself in the situation too much.
You're totally right. And also Wells started as a host. He was a DJ.
Right. I think he does podcasts and radio. Yeah. I don't know if he still does radio, but he does podcasts.
But he did start as a radio DJ. So he's an actual host. So he has those skills. And yeah, I agree. Well,
a few other things Harrison said. He said he was sick to his stomach in the aftermath of the extra interview. He lost 20 pounds. He didn't sleep. He didn't eat. I was scared to death, not of my job, but of my family. My fiance, who God bless Lauren Zima for being there every step of the way. I worried about my kids. I worried about my family, my mom, my dad, my brother, all my loved ones, my friends. While the point, and he noted that the point he was trying to get across, he stands by. The way I did it, it was messy, it was disappointing, and it was not me. It was a messy, really bad conversation. He noted a few times that he has love for people on the show, mostly like crew members and people behind the scenes. Didn't want to name names on that part because he said he didn't want to get them in trouble for being associated with him, which I kind of thought was funny. He had a few like subtle, like shady comments about like higher ups, but then wouldn't go there. And in my opinion, like if you're going to blow it up, blow it up. Like either be shady, be Prince Harry, or don't give me anything. Like, I want everything. Right. I don't like these cryptic. You're not Khloe Kardashian on Instagram. Like, I don't want these cryptic lines.
I just wonder at what kind of contract he signed when he left. That like, what can he say? If
nothing, probably
everything. Then I would absolutely love this podcast. Like, if he could give a true behind the scenes, like, let's blow this show up kind of view, I might like it.
Right. And he can't, which makes sense because, again, he's got a lot of money, so I don't know why he's doing this. But anyway, he did throw some shade at the ratings. He said, when I left, it was still the #1 show on TV. Now, look, do I keep an eye on the ratings? Do I know what's happening now? I'm not going to say I'm not humble or never enough to say that I haven't paid attention to the scoreboard. Yes, I do know. I realize the ratings are down 50% and the show has changed dramatically. And also that hurts me a little bit because it's something I took pride in building. And there's still some wonderful people that I talk to, some wonderful cast members and crew.
All right. I think that's kind of funny.
Yeah. And then, I always am looking for like the shade and everything, but Warner Brothers did post a graphic calling Bachelor in Paradise the #1 scripted show on reality TV hours after this podcast dropped. And in my opinion, that is not a coincidence to use Paradise aired months ago, #1, I feel as though that was their subtle response.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, then I question how real his numbers are. So now I don't know.
Right. Also, like rating, everything is like TV ratings are down. The Bachelor, I do think that The Bachelor is on a downward viewership for sure, but so is all of TV. And I think that there's something that ABC has in the show that it's cheap enough to make that like, I don't think it's going anywhere. And it still fills a lot of hours of TV and there's still people who want to buy ads and it's still a very recognizable brand. So I don't think it's going anywhere, but I'm no expert.
Well, you are a Bachelor expert. Thanks. All right. Well, during episode 2 of his podcast, he addressed Nick Viall, like we said, directly explaining Nick wasn't really strongly against me or said anything. But, I think Nick was one of those among many who probably saw the blood in the water and saw the opportunity of a job that would be really phenomenal. And I had no doubt he wanted that job, but we saw each other at Wells and Sarah's wedding and gave each other big hugs. Harrison also revealed that he thought Adams was the man for the job. And like we said, he never referenced Jesse Palmer. After noting it was tough to start naming names, he went on to list a series of people from the franchise who were there for him. So the people who did reach out: Catherine and Sean Lowe, who I love and adore; Ari and Lauren; Brad Womack, throwback; Trista and Ryan, huge throwback; JP Rosenbaum and Ashley Hebert; Jade and Tanner; JoJo and Jordan, who Lauren and I love so much; Bob Guinea and Andrew Firestone, more throwbacks. So interesting. He also named Ben Higgins, Ashley Iaconetti, Andy Dorfman, Sarah, I thought it was you.
I know, I wish. The other Sarah Heron. I didn't reach out to Chris Harrison. The Sarah Heron from Sean Lowe's season, who will always get to be the more famous Sarah Heron in The Bachelor, which is my cross to bear.
That is so funny. Leslie Murphy, Tenley, Jake Pavelka, another throwback; Chris Soules, Adam Gottschalk, and Raven Gates and Eric Biggers. So there's a few names that did reach out to him.
Yeah, a lot more throwback, as you would expect.
Yeah.
I mean, this was during Match Game season, so there's been so many seasons of the show that have aired since then that obviously owe nothing to Chris Harrison, don't know Chris Harrison. So interesting names, but again, it's just everything about it. Like, what you need to know is, like, he said he was going to name names, and then he named names. Like,
he named every name.
Right. Like, it's kind of silly. I don't know. And I just like don't know what the point of this is. Like, again, he can have a job. Like, I'm not saying he shouldn't get to like work again if that's what he wants. I do think that that's something that, you know, is ridiculous when we don't let anyone work again. Right. But at the same time, it's just kind of a weird choice, in my opinion. Like, I don't really know where we're going to get with this, but hopefully he has a good time and enjoys it. And I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. Let us know in the comments if you're going to be listening to Chris Harrison's podcast. After you listen to They Are Here for the Right Reasons podcast, of course.
Of course, because Zach's season is about to begin, and that is a show that we'll be covering the Bachelor quite extensively. I did my own solo, very lengthy recap of the Bachelor bio. So if you want to, you know, go on that journey with me, Godspeed. But we're going to talk about some of the women. There's 30 of them, but we each picked out 3. We have one overlap, actually. I didn't look at yours, my bad. And I didn't pick them because I think they're going to like win. I picked them for other reasons.
I picked one that I think is going to win. So our first one is Holland, which is our overlap. She's from Boca Raton, Florida. She's an insurance marketer, only 24 years old. I just loved her. Fun fact: she loves yachting with the girls. Like, what? Are you on? Who doesn't love yachting? I've never gone yachting with the girls in my life. I've gone on like, you know, a pontoon boat, but I've never been yachting. She does not function without air conditioning. And my favorite fact of all, her favorite TV show is The Bachelor. So I love it when they throw a super fan in the mix, you know?
Yeah, I picked Holland because I think Holland seems like a good time with a bad edit waiting to happen. They wrote, in her long thing, they wrote about what she wants in a guy. And they wrote, he also must, in capital letters, love wine and sushi. Like, I just feel as though they're setting her up to be like high maintenance, like with the air conditioning, with the yachting. Her favorite show is The Bachelor. She knows what she wants. Good luck to anyone to try to stop her. Like, these are lines that I feel as though Holland is going to be someone we want to hang out with, but not someone we want to watch on TV.
Totally. She's going to be a standout, I think, no doubt. Who's your next one?
My next one is Christina Mandrell, because her first and last name were included. She's the only one. I think that's because her aunt is Barbara Mandrell, who is in like the Country Music Hall of Fame. I'm not overly familiar with her, but she's like a big name in old school country music.
Interesting.
Which is interesting because Zach's uncle is obviously Patrick Warburton, or however you say his name, who's from Seinfeld and like Emperor's New Groove and is an actor. So they have that in common, like famous aunts and uncles. And she's also a single mom.
I saw that.
Who is divorced. Her daughter, 5-year-old daughter, Blakely. She's already clapping back on Instagram at Mom Shamers. So we love that. She wrote this whole lengthy thing about people judging her for going on the show and how they don't know the full story. Yeah. So she's going to be one to watch. And she has an IMDb page. She was in Taylor Swift's 15 music video in the background and an uncredited student in the Hannah Montana movie. So lots to unpack with Christina.
Oh, Christina's going to definitely stand out this season. I mean, that's incredible. I'm excited. I honestly would watch the season for her and her story.
Yes, there's a lot of layers here. We've got famous people. We've got an IMDb page. We've got clapping back. I think she's going to be a standout for sure. She's going to get some screen time.
Okay. My next one is for Davia. She's from Charleston, South Carolina, which I just feel like is one of those typical, this is where our next Bachelorette's from cities. She said that no one has helped her through more breakups than Taylor Swift, bringing up Taylor Swift again. She could live on oysters. Disgusting. And she can out-burp anyone. So I just feel like she's going to have a big personality. She's 25 years old. She's a marketing manager. I don't know. She might be good, like, girlfriend material, I feel like.
Okay. Overall, when I did like my deep dive, I noticed there was a lot of Taylor Swift references, a lot of Kris Jenner references, and a lot of aspiring Pilates and wellness girly girls. So not a shock. It feels like we're going back to like basic Bachelor girls and a basic Bachelor season for a basic Bachelor, Zach.
Totally. I felt like every girl was from like Austin, Nashville, Charleston. It's these like typical Bachelorette cities.
Yep.
Not to stereotype them, but I just feel like it was.
By the way, basic is not always bad. Like,
yeah, I'm basic.
Call me basic. I'm sure in many ways. So it's not a bad thing, but it definitely feels like, okay, we went back to the blueprint of like, how was this show always made vibe.
Yeah, which I might love.
Yeah, we'll see.
Right.
My last one is Victoria J. She is the Texas native, according to ABC, is the full package. And she's ready to live life to the fullest. She's determined to take chances to finally find the true love she's been searching for. Her parents have been married for over 40 years, and she has her heart set on finding a love like theirs. Now, what they don't include in her bio is that she is also divorced. And she is on TikTok, hard launching her divorce, as she put it, to kind of get ahead of it and be like, and she made a TikTok that was like, when you go on The Bachelor to find love and then realize like your ex-husband's family is going to watch you kind of joke. So interesting that whereas Christina's divorce is like her bio, Victoria J, there's no mention, but I'm sure it will come up. And also her two facts that were just like ridiculous are her music taste is stuck in 2007, emo punk music for life. And Victoria isn't made for the cold, but says she looks super cute in a ski suit.
Okay, great. That was someone else. I can't remember who it is, but it was like, she can't cook, but she can assemble a dish. I'm like, what?
I know. Where did they come up with this?
I don't know. All right. Well, my last one goes to Kody, and Kody is my pick for the winner. Which is very bold. I'm totally judging a book by the cover, judging by one paragraph of her bio and her picture. But I don't know. I think she's got wife material written all over her. She's 27 years old. She's an ER nurse, lives in Austin, Texas. Well, her very first line is Kody is 100% wife material.
She's all for it.
So, I mean, it's in her own words. She grew up figure skating. She isn't afraid of sliding into the DMs. She loves roller coasters, like loves them. That's what it says. She enjoys swimming, but hates sharks and may be swimming underneath her. That might be swimming underneath her. A little basic, but I feel like, I don't know, her look, her job, everything about her just screams like Zach's going to like her.
I agree. I'm looking at her right now, and she looks like someone who would win. She's kind of giving me Whitney from Crystal, who won Crystal's season vibe.
Yeah. I see her going far, at least top 3, maybe top 1. So you heard it here first.
I hope you're right. That'd be fun.
Well, getting back into the news, Tia Booth clapped back at mom shamers who questioned why she has helped to take care of her son at night. The Bachelor alum took to social media to share a message she received from a follower that said, not trying to be mean, but having a child is taking responsibility and bonding with your baby in the middle of the night when they wake, not hiring someone to do it for you so you can sleep. Booth, who welcomed son Tatum with Taylor Mock in December 2022, acknowledged the luxury to have assistants a few nights a week. She said, got 3 more that weren't as friendly. It's a temporary service that helps us tremendously as first-time parents. I've learned so much from these nurses and will never look back and think, damn, I wish I wouldn't have been more sleep deprived on those nights and had help. I'm able to be a better mom during the day when I can think and know my baby was so loved on and taken care of the night before. I don't have family here, neither does Taylor. This is our help a few nights a week. She went on to request that strangers stop freaking mom shaming in response to her post. She said moms who have once been first-time moms will say, do what's best for you and your family, then shame you and lose respect for you needing help. We can only be praised when we're exhausted and doing it all alone. It's insanity. Okay, I'm done. I mean, I can so relate to this. I live not near my family in Mississippi. I have 2 babies, 2 and 6 months. And if I could afford a night nurse, I would have a freaking night nurse.
Yeah, I feel like all mom shaming comes. I'm not a mom, but I've never shamed anyone on the internet as far as not on purpose anyway, or mom shaming wise. And I just feel as though it always comes from a place of jealousy.
Yeah.
I don't know. And also, it just doesn't even make sense to me why you feel the need to tell Tia that she shouldn't, like, who cares? Like, it's her kid, it's her life. This isn't going to affect her. Like, it's also interesting to me that people feel the need to clap back. I don't know if it's like, I feel like mom shaming specifically like hits a nerve, I guess, and makes people feel the need. Like, I almost feel like, why does Tia feel the need to address these people? But I mean, I don't know.
I think it's like, it hits a nerve, like you said, and it just feels a little bit more personal. People, you know, I'm not famous or in Bachelor Nation at all. And like when people, just friends of mine, say something to me that's even a little bit remotely mom shaming, I feel like I have to stand up for myself. So if you have a following that then sees these comments, I feel like I'd have to clap back.
Yeah. Well, you know what? If you can afford a baby nurse, like, good for you. That's awesome.
Good for you.
That's how I feel.
If anyone wants to volunteer to be my baby nurse, please slide into my DMs.
I will not be taking that role on. So good luck.
Thanks, Sarah. So moving on, who caught your attention on social media this week?
Well, you know, last week we had the Tyler Cameron, Kristen Cavallari reunion heard around the world, but another random pairing and reality star, not reunion, but moment was between Aven from obviously Rachel and Gabby's season, one of Rachel's finalists, and Aubrey O'Day of Danity Kane fame, and Donald Trump Jr. affair fame, and Pauly D relationship fame. I don't really know what she's up to these days, but she's hanging out with Aven, and they like kind of almost like share like a weird little like kiss flirty moment in this video. Like, what is happening?
She also said she wants to have his babies. I mean, I'm shipping this one. I'm into this.
Are you? I feel it's kind of funny. Also, Jordan was there from the season too. And I think that, you know, it's always interesting to see reality people cross over from other franchises. But with Aven, it's interesting because it was kind of set up, which was clearly like so fake, to be like, were him and Rachel going to get back together? And there was just no follow-up there.
No, there really wasn't. There wasn't much explanation at all. So it is interesting to see that he's just seems to be with Aubrey O'Day. I mean,
and she's just like so random. Like, I feel like she's kind of a cult following. Like, people like stan her and like stand up for her. And she has done wild things in pop culture, but like, it's just very random to me. But like, I'll be tuning in to see what happens.
Definitely. Just careful, Aven, because she just blasted Pauly D recently in an interview. So you never know what's going to come out of that girl's mouth.
100%. And again, the affair with Donald Trump Jr., that was quite a one to cover when it came out years later. So
yes. All right. That's it for this week's episode of Here for the Right Reasons. Be sure to check out our podcast too, and check back next week for more. We're going to be recapping Zach's season soon.
All right, bye.
For more news, content, and exclusive interviews, make sure to hit the sub, like, and bell button down below and visit usmagazine.com.